Hey guys, Luke here, and I'm back in my normal setup, and we're back to do another video. It's grand final week, so there's going to be lots of grand final videos talking about Penrith, talking about the Storm, but for today's video I'm going to actually be talking about the Dally M's. Now the Dally M was on tonight. I know for the last couple of years they've been doing them the week before the grand final. I know before, at one stage, it was before the final started, which I'm not sure which one I prefer, but it's definitely weird circumstances considering the COVID stuff, so there's no real awards. I don't think they're going to any place. I think they're sort of just going to be streaming over Zoom or something. I think that's how they're going to be accepting awards and all that sort of stuff, rather than having all the grand final teams come to it and all the big shindig that normally happens. But I thought it'd be fun to go through and give my predictions, sort of talk about who I think is going to win. This doesn't necessarily reflect on who I think's been the best player in that position. It's just more sort of thinking about who would poll well and who's probably going to go all right, in terms of that polling and winning the position. So, like I said, it doesn't necessarily reflect who I think is, say, 5'8" of the year or halfback or prop of the year or something like that. I probably will think there's going to be players who are better, but they just don't poll well because, say, Penrith. It's going to be hard for players to poll well from Penrith when you've got Nathan Cleary there and a few others, Kikau and the likes. So I'm not sure how that reflects in terms of their team of the year and that. Also, for the first time, there's been a bit of a switch up. They're actually going to be doing an actual team of the year, like a proper 13-man team. I think even an interchange as well. Then you can probably chuck in your top try scorers and point scorers and all that sort of stuff, and then you get a full proper side. But yeah, they've never really done like two wingers, two centers. I'm assuming they're just sort of going to be doing, still doing like, say center, there's two centers, but there's still going to just be one center of the year rather than we're just giving it to two people. But I think overall they'll probably end up with the team of the year. So I'm assuming there will be one center of the year, but there'll be two centers in the team of the year, if that makes sense. So yeah, I've rambled on enough. Let's get into the actual predictions. So starting off at fullback, I've actually wrote down, I've got a whiteboard here, wrote them down. So don't get too disappointed if a player's not there or this team seems a bit whack. It's just something I sort of thought of today, and I was kind of going through and I'm like, man, I don't know if I watched enough football this year to give like a proper accurate one, but I thought it'd be fun anyways to go ahead and sort of give my predictions anyway. So for fullback, I've gone with Clinton Gutherson. I think Tedesco's miles better fullback. Gutho is a solid fullback, but I think just in terms of how the Eel season went, I feel like he would have polled quite well. I think he'll even go close to the Dally M. And once again, I don't think he's the best fullback or even like a top 3 or 4 fullback, maybe even top 5. I mean, I'd have Tedesco and Trbojevic ahead of him straight up. Add in your Brimsons, Pappenhausen, I'd probably have them all ahead of him, just off the top of my head. But yeah, in terms of his influence on the Eels, I think he would have done quite well. Eels won a lot of games, obviously finished in the top 4, so I think he would have polled quite well. Therefore, I think he'll end up with fullback of the year. For winger, I've gone with Nofaluma. I don't know if he'll get it. I've sort of just picked him because I think Tigers won enough games where sort of Harry Grant was going quite well, so they'll definitely polling quite well. And I think Nofaluma, I think he got their player of the year, and I think he had a very, very strong end to the season. So I can see him getting the winger of the year, at least in the top 2. The other winger that I sort of had a look at was Daniel Tupou / Brett Morris, one of the Roosters boys. Personally, I would go Brett Morris, but I think in terms of who they're going to go with, I think Daniel Tupou. But yeah, I can't really think of. I mean, you got your Brian Tuos and all that. I can see getting in, but it's just hard to know if they're going off votes or if they're going off just like a general play. This is the best player, and then you've got to take into account injuries and that sort of stuff as well. So I'll throw in Daniel Tupou in there, but I mean, it could have been a number of players for the wing. There's been some pretty solid wingers this year. For centers, this was another tough one. I've gone with Stephen Crichton from Penrith. Personally, I couldn't really pick one who's been like an outright best centre. You've always got your Joey Manus and Tony Stagg's another one who I think probably was the best, but I'm pretty sure he had a pretty big injury spell at one point. So that was the only reason I didn't pick him. Otherwise, I would have. But I'm not sure exact game amounts, but I'm pretty sure there was a pretty good time frame where he was out with an injury. I think I could be wrong there. But I've gone for Stephen Crichton, and the other centre I went with was actually Josh Morris. Could be a bit of bias there, but I thought he had a very good season for the Roosters, and just in terms of games played, I think he played majority. I thought he was quite strong in all of them, and the Roosters win a lot, so therefore I figured they'd probably chuck in a Rooster, and maybe Josh Morris, maybe Joey Manu. Yeah, either one. Like the centres, it could be anyone. Tony Staggs, I'll be happy with him. Jared Croker, a few others who've had half decent years. Moving on to 5'8", I was talking about Jared Kroger. This one I think is super highly contested, but I've gone with the Raiders' Jack Whiten. You could have chucked in probably Cody Walker in the end, Luke Cleary, a whole bunch of different players. Probably Cleary's been out too much. But I've gone with Jack Whiten, probably, I'm going to say a bit of a controversial one, because I feel like the end of the season Cody Walker's had, I feel like it would say, yeah, pick Cody Walker, even Jerome Luai, I feel those sort of guys. But I think Jack Whiten, just in a side like the Raiders, I feel like he would have polled very, very well, and I feel like he would have, he scored a lot of tries. I think he had a really, really good season, Jack Whiten, especially in the absence of Josh Hodgson. I think Jack Whiten's gone from strength to strength, and I think I said in one of my Origin sort of videos, if it wasn't for him being so versatile and able to play in the centres and sort of shift him around, I think he would be your Blues 5'8" this year. But look, it's just the fact that he can play in other positions that sort of hinders him in terms of 5'8". But I really rate Jack Whiten at 5'8", and I think that'll be his first 5'8" of the year, if I'm correct there. And then to partner him, I've gone with Nathan Cleary. I think that's pretty standout one. You probably can see why. I mean, he's the favourite for the actual Dally M itself. So, look, Nathan Cleary's season really speaks for itself. They're in the grand final. Look, he had a lot of pressure on him going into the season. Got a lot of pressure on him now, in fact. But I think he's definitely stood up to the plate, and he's finally living up to that potential. We all knew he could do this, but it was like, when is it going to start happening? Is he just going to be a solid player, or is it like a Mitchell Pearce sort of guy who's, you know, pretty good, but is he going to become a superstar? And I think it's clear to see that he's definitely becoming that superstar. Then for props, I have gone for the actual winner. I've gone for Josh Papali. There's a lot of people who you could have chucked in. Campbell Gillard had a pretty good year. Fisher Harris has had a pretty good year. Speaking of Fisher Harris, I've picked him as the other prop. Just need some more Penrith colours in there, I think. But Junior Paulo is another good one. He's had a very, very good season. There's been a lot of good props. Yeah, even adding a Sofa Solomonas and stuff. Always quite strong. Probably a victim of being good every year, of the Storm sort of players. But yeah, Papali, he just keeps shining every year, keeps getting better and better, and definitely carried the Raiders towards the back end of the season, I think. Or maybe not carried is the word, but he was very, very good for him. Then we move on to the hooker position. This is another one I was umming and ahhing about. Harry Grant had such a good start to the season, but he's sort of faded out due to injury. I think probably played in up half the season, I was going to say. He's going to make his Origin debut, you would think. So that says how good of a season he has, and considering his rookie season. But I have gone with his kind of teammate. I've gone with his maybe mentor, maybe is the word. I've gone with Cameron Smith. Could have went with probably Api Carousel or someone like that. But I've gone with Cameron Smith. I just think the fact that they came second, this isn't like the Storm where they sort of snuck into the 8 or anything. They were super dominant this year. Now, Penrith obviously lost only the one game, but I think Cameron Smith, you can't sort of disregard the influence he has on that side. He's so good. He's just so good, and it's looking like it's going to be his last year. So I can't see them not giving it to him. Even he's another one. I wouldn't say he's a smoky. I'd say he's another favourite for the Dally M. But I can see him winning the Dally M as well, because I think any game where the Storm win, which they won a lot, I think he's going to take majority of the points. Even with the people who poll it. That's why it's so hard to pick Dally M's, because you get a lot of biased judges who, even if a player is, Cameron Smith could play an absolute dog shit game for the Storm and they'll win, and he'll still get like 1 point. And you're like, what? Surely there's other better players, but just because it's him, they give him a point. So it's hard to sort of tell. Is Nathan Cleary, is he going to get points taken away by Luai or by some of his other teammates, or is he just going to be an outright, yeah, we like Nathan Cleary, he's the superstar for them, we're going to give him 3 points every time? It's hard to know, but I think for hooker, I've gone with Cameron Smith. Even like Damien Cook's pretty good at the end of the year. There's probably someone I'm missing too. Even, like I said, Harry Grant, fantastic start to the season, but obviously dropped off due to injury. Now moving on to the second rowers, this was one where I had probably the most trouble with, just due to the fact that there's so many quality second rowers at the moment. It was just like, who's an actual standout, who's a superstar, and who do I think will poll well. So I've gone for the actual award itself. I've gone Viliami Kikau. I think he'll get it. I think he got it last year too. I mean, you could go with so many other second rowers, and you probably wouldn't look out of place. But I've just gone Kikau just with how strong Penrith have gone, and kind of what I was talking about as well, where he's like a superstar of the side going into the season as well. So he is the big name. I know he's missed a few games due to injuries and stuff, but I think it might have been out of as of late, maybe. Although he'd get injured and then he'd just come back on, so maybe he didn't miss many games. But I think he's had such a good effect on the side, and even when he's not playing fantastic, just him being on the park makes a hell of a difference. So I've gone for him to win the award, and for the other second row, I've gone Kenny Bromwich. I think he's pretty underrated. You look at his sort of stats, and I know stats don't tell it all, but I think his stats sort of add up very, very well to being in the contention for second row of the year. But like I said, you can add in a whole bunch of other guys. Liam Martin's had a good season. I can't see him going to Penrith guys. But yeah, I mean, second rowers, I think that's the hardest one because, like I said, so much quality in that position. Now we're moving on to the lock position. Now, no pun intended, but I think Jason Taumalolo every year seems to have a lock on this award, but I think he was actually injured for a considerable amount of the season. So I think for that reason they won't give him the lock of the year position. I can see a guy like Isaiah Yeo or someone getting it because of just how good Penrith have gone. So they'll be trying to give the awards out in Penrith, I think. But I've actually gone for Cameron Murray. I feel like he's quite a consistent player. Obviously, he is a fantastic player, no doubt. I think a guy like Victor Bradley probably would have contested if he had not got injured. I thought he was having a pretty good season. But in terms of locks, I mean, you got your Jake Trbojevic and stuff, but there was no like super big standout apart from like your Taumalolo. He's the only real sort of superstar game breaker, and he was out for most of the season. So the lock, you can kind of interchange a few players, but I've gone for Cameron Murray just because of how good he actually is, and I can't wait to see him in Origin. I think he'd be quite good. But yeah, what more can I say about Cameron Murray? Just a fantastic player, gets in, does the hard yards, quick play the balls, does exactly what you want in your lock, can ball play a little bit too, so he is quite effective. Now we move on to a position that I think they've only done in the last couple of years. I don't know if it's called bench player or utility or interchange. I think it might be called interchange player of the year. I think the Warriors guy won it last year. Was it Roach or Jazz Devona? I think Jazz Devona won it last year, actually. I'm pretty sure he did. Now, for this year, I'm going with Brandon Smith. I know he missed a few games, and as of late, he seems to be breaking his jaw every second week, but he's just so good. And it seems weird because I feel like I don't even know if he qualifies. I don't know how you qualify for this award because I know he did start quite a few games because of I think Cameron Smith did miss a few games, and I think he's playing prop at one stage. He was in the starting prop position, and that's what I mean by an interchange player. He's so versatile, so valuable. If he can't get it, I feel like a guy maybe like Tyrone May or someone will get it. Another one who's sort of a utility essentially their utility player of the year. Chuck them on any position, they can do a job. But yeah, I think Brandon Smith, I think he's a clear standout. Like if there was any award to be named after someone, it'd be him. Just because of how he fits, his role at the Storm is perfect, and I'd really love to see him actually get a proper opportunity at a starting position at another club, even at the Storm, just anywhere. I want to see what the heck Cheese can do in a starting role, because we've seen him be able to fill in quite well, but I'd love to see him get like a full season under his belt, because it looks like Harry Grant's going to take over from Cameron Smith should he retire, which they're kind of alluding to this year. So yeah, I don't know what Brandon Smith does. I'd like to think he'll end up at the Bulldogs, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Now moving on to Rookie of the Year. I've talked about him quite a bit. In fact, I was talking about him just before. I'm going with Harry Grant. Now, you can also go Stephen Crichton as well. I mean, I had Crichton as the Centre of the Year. Don't know if that's really going to happen, but I mean, he's kind of flavour of the month at the moment. So I'll go with Stephen Crichton. So I suppose with that logic, I should be on Stephen Crichton. But I think Harry Grant was so dominant, and just because he's up against a guy like Cameron Smith, I think if he wasn't up against Cameron Smith, I think maybe Coruscant can add in there as well. But I think if he was up against, apart from anyone but them, even though he only played like say half the season, I think it was such a good half the season that you could probably still give him the Hooker of the Year. It's just how good he actually was, and I think there's actually a lack of like superstar hookers. But I've got him Harry Grant for Rookie of the Year. He got the Players Award for Rookie of the Year, I think it was. So I mean, it's not a bad suggestion, but I can see Stephen Crichton getting it purely for the fact that he's played more games and just with how Penrith are going. But yeah, I'll go with Harry Grant. I think Harry Grant's the best rookie. But yeah, like I said, just being the actual best player doesn't necessarily reflect that you're going to win the award. Otherwise, James Tedesco would win the fullback every year, and he might even win it tonight, to be honest with you. We now move on to Captain of the Year. I've gone with Roger Tuivasa-Sheck for the Warriors, and that's purely just due to the Warriors, really. It's more so Tuivasa-Sheck he's kind of just taking it for the Warriors. Now, if they're going to go actual results based, I think Cameron Smith would be a lock, just due to the fact that he's led the Storm so well. But I mean, I think Tuivasa-Sheck, I think he's a good one, and just because of the circumstances of them being out of the country. And Cameron Smith's another one where they've had to actually like full on relocate. He had to go to Queensland, but Tuivasa-Sheck and the Warriors, they had to go to a whole other country and be away from their family. And I think Tuivasa-Sheck led them well on the field. Probably one of their better seasons too, considering things. Which is weird. You think they're being away from home that they would turn to shit, which is what I thought would happen. I thought they'd win the wooden spoon after that, but it wasn't what happened. Instead, they kind of backs against the wall. They rose to the occasion really and played well above their ability, I think. And Tuivasa-Sheck was a big part of that. You can't underestimate Tuivasa-Sheck's ability, not only as a player but leader as well. I think he must do something for the boys. And he really got them to play quite well this year. Moving on to Coach of the Year. I think it's a two-horse race. It's Craig Bellamy or Ivan Cleary. Ivan Cleary's got to be him, really. It's not even a two-horse race, let's be honest. Look, one loss. They were on a 17-game win streak. How can you go past him and the Panthers? I mean, the Coach of the Year usually just sort of represents who was the best team of the year or who had the biggest rise. Like if a team came last in the previous year and they end up like second or third the next year, generally the coach will win it. So I think just the fact that Penrith didn't make the 8 last year, have gone on to win the minor premiership comfortably, maybe even win a premiership next week, or this week I should say. I think it's an easy one there. I think he's going to get Coach of the Year. Now moving on to the Dally M medal itself. Who do I think is going to win the Dally M medal? I think it's going to be Nathan Cleary. I know he got some points taken off him before, but before the votes went behind closed doors, I'm pretty sure he's only a couple points out. You got you guys like Gutherson and that who are in and amongst it as well, but I think it's either him or Cameron Smith, like I said, and I have a feeling Cameron Smith did miss a few games. So I remember Brandon Smith playing hooker. So I think Nathan Cleary will actually run away with it. I think he'll probably win quite comfortably now that I think about it. So yeah, there's my pick. Nathan Cleary, he is the favourite for a reason. It's not exactly a revelation that I'm picking him, and I definitely would have picked him at the start of the season, that's for sure. But yeah, he's just had such a good season, and he's really got the Panthers side going perfectly. So yeah, could even get a Clive Churchill next week. We'll have to wait and see, but he's definitely on the right track to be doing that. And yeah, I'm very excited for Nathan Cleary to see him in the Blues jersey, considering the last couple of years I feel like he's taken a back seat, got a lot of pressure. I was always one to back Nathan Cleary in terms of New South Wales, but it would be good to see him now with all that confidence, maybe going into the game after winning a premiership and see what he can do to Queensland. But yeah, guys, leave in the comment section below, who do you think is going to be the team of the year? Who do you think is going to win every individual award? And most importantly, who's going to win the Dally M? Is it going to be Nathan Cleary? Is it going to be someone else? Is it going to be Clinton Gutherson or someone like that? Leave in the comment section below. Also, while you're at it, guys, make sure you go ahead and leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. It is very important that you do subscribe. And also, with the grand final coming up, lots of content's going to be coming out. Might even start doing 2 videos a day, who knows. But make sure you turn on the notification bell so you are notified when I do actually upload the video, so you don't want to miss it. Also, while you're at it, you may as well go ahead and give me a follow on all social media as well. It's on the screen right now. Posting it a fair bit. Probably post on Snapchat, to be honest, more than others. So you may as well add me on that. It's Mr. Luke on YT. Same what's on the screen right now. So go ahead and add me on everything. And yeah, that's all I've got to say, guys. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for next video. Grand final week, we're going to be smashing out the video, so definitely subscribe and stay tuned. See you guys. Bye.